Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a truly unique project, creating a house number from a rejected piece of Hinuera Stone. Hinuera Stone is a volcanic rock created many thousands of years ago. It's got an incredible history and natural beauty and is a perfect material for creating a one-of-a-kind house number. So I've actually had this slab of Hinuera Stone sitting in my shed for about 1 year now. Reese is one who picked it up. He brought it back from the quarry when he was grabbing material for his rock garden. This piece was rejected, originally intended to be cut into high sandstone blocks, but as you can see it didn't make the cut because of a few seams of iron ore running through it. At this stage the iron ore lines are hard to see, but trust me, they're there. Once the sealer coat is applied, they really pop out. The stone will change colour, turning to a light brown in areas where the iron ore is embedded. The iron ore gives the stone a whole new look and has even more natural variations that makes the rejected slab even more special. Now one of the best things about using returned and rejected rock is the cost. These materials are usually pretty cheap, so not only get a unique look, but you also save a lot of money. So here it is, our slab of Hinuera Stone. You can see the reddy browny colour up the top. That's one of the seams of iron ore that runs through it. You can also see on the edge of the rock some reddy brown colouring, and there is really iron ore seams running right through the middle of the slab. Now we've got a little bit of work to do on this before we can take it down to the gate. First thing we need is take this ridge off along the edge. So we need to grind that out. And then of course we need to carve our number into the middle of the slab. So this is my template. I printed out, and so I'm going to sketch around that, mark that out, and then we're going to router that out into the stone. We'll carve it out. So for carving the stone out, I purchased these Carve burr bits. Now these are designed for steel, but I believe these will be no problem cutting the Hinuera stone out, as it's quite a little bit softer than steel. So here we go. This is just a metal cut-off blade in the angle grinder, but as you can see, it has no problem cutting the stone at all. Once that was complete, I came back with my small grinder, which did actually have a masonry blade in it, and just cleaned up a few of the extra ridges that were left over from the large angle grinder. And then to final clean up, I just used the belt sander, and it did an awesome job. As you can appreciate, that made lots of dust, but I did have a mask on, so I wasn't breathing any of that in. But in those three tools did a very good job, and it cleaned up that edge very nicely. So I'm very happy how it turned out. So here's my numbers, guys. It's an Arial font with each number printed on 2 A3 sheets and taped together. This creates an A2 size number. I then just traced around it onto the stone, ready for cutting out. So what I've done here is set up a bit of a guide. Now the router has got like a 55mm offset here from the bit, and so the plan is just to move this out, set it up, so I can do at least all the straight lines using a guide. That's the plan anyway. Unfortunately the round bits are probably going to have to be done by hand, but anyway, the straight bits I can set up a guide. So this all started off pretty well. The router was working beautifully, cutting the stone, no problem at all. It was relatively easy. What I didn't notice, and I'll show you in a second, is that the router bit started pulling out, pulling down and making it deeper, and so that wasn't very good at all. Once I figured out that was a bit of a mess, to be fair. So here's a good picture here. You can see that there's quite a big deep piece there that's cut further down, and it's where the bit had basically pulled out of the router, which is very annoying. Other than that, it was going really well. So what I first did is I took this what I first did is took this out and cleaned these 3 little grooves in there that kept pressed when you tighten the nut on top of it. So I cleaned that out and filed it down a little bit, and then when I put the nut back on, top of the nut broke off. So I actually think this was a little bit broken in the first place, unfortunately. This is a little bit sad because this router is actually the first power tool I ever bought. I can't remember, I might have been 18 or 19 years old. And my old man still has lots of power tools and stuff, but he didn't have a router, so I needed a router to do some work, things that I was doing, and so I purchased this router. So it's been around with me a long time. It's a little bit sad that it's broken, but anyway, off to the store we went and just purchased this new Ryobi router. I was looking at what to buy, and fortunately they didn't have any brushless battery powered ones in store around us. Closest was a couple of hours away, so anyway I bought this plug-in one. So that's what we're going to use, set up now and get going. So here we go, routing the outline around the numbers with the new Ryobi router. Now I did find that one of the router bits also slipped out of the new router as well. It clearly was just machined incorrectly with a bit too small of a bit. Anyway, the new router did a great job, and as you can see at the end of this, I've completely outlined the numbers. So what I did find here is the router was actually quite slow at routing all this out. There's quite a lot to do. So what I did in the end is got my skill saw out and then skill sawed a whole lot of lines into the stone to make it easier. I've chipped that out, and as you can see here, I'm chipping the in-between bits of which the skill saw didn't do, and then I finally finish off with using the router over what was left, which made a much quicker job than completely routering everything in one go. So this is where we ended up at the end of yesterday. I filled all the holes up that the router bit was too deep with a bit of glue and some powder from all the routering, and so it looks like it's come up pretty good. But I'm just going to give that a quick sand, and then we're going to paint black in all this. So you won't actually see any of this anyway. Paint a black in there to make the 21 stand out. So for paint here I'm using rust guard. What a lot of people don't really know is rust paint is actually really good on sticking on concrete and block work and stone. There's quite a good story about the White Knight factory where they actually spilled this rust guard stuff over the floor. A big accident when they were loading a truck. Anyway, they cleaned it up, but there was still a sheen over where the trucks drove. And after about 6 months, one of the managers came in and said, what's happened here? And he said, well, that's where all the rust guard got spilt when we were trying to load the truck, but it hadn't moved. It was still there and hadn't deteriorated at all. And so then they started looking to using this type of paint for their concrete floors. So that stands out pretty well. Pretty happy with that. So a quick coat of sealer before we move the slab down to the end of the driveway. And no, you didn't miss anything. This is the back side of the slab. Next job on the list is to dig a hole to plant this rock in the ground. The position of the slab on the driveway is also so we can move the gate entry keypad onto the stone slab as well. The existing position is a little bit close to the gates. Here we go, a 1200 by 600 by 600 deep hole. This is going to be more weight in the hole than it will be over ground, so I'm sure that will hold the column. So we plan to pour this concrete base in 2 goes. A 200mm footing the stone slab will sit on, and this has the reinforcing in it, and then a 400mm encasement around the base of the slab, all below ground. Seven loads later, we have the footing forward. The most important thing I had to do here is make sure I had a level spot through the middle for the slab to sit on. So here we go, planting rock day. This is the most dangerous part of the project. Stop, stop. Okay, turn the wheels the other way, straight. Back up a little bit, just a little bit. Okay. Now. Slowly. Stop, stop. We slung the slab from both sides and lifted it with the forks on the tractor, then moved it over the hole. It all seemed to work pretty smoothly. We then checked level and it was within a couple of millimeters, so all good there. We then set up some braces to hold the slab while we encased it in concrete. Then we finally wrapped the bottom of the slab with some tape to stop the concrete splashing. Due to my incorrect measurements, I had to quickly go out and get some more builder's mix and cement as we had run out. These are the same lights that I installed on the wall, they're just 5-watt LED lights.